Let me show you the invisible architecture that makes rational people do irrational things. Most of us think manipulation works like this. Someone lies to you. You believe the lie. You act on the belief. But modern manipulation is way more sophisticated than that. It doesn't target your beliefs. It targets your state. Here's what I mean. Traditional persuasion tries to change what you think. Modern manipulation changes how you think by controlling your emotional state, your information environment, and your cognitive capacity in real time. Think less, convince, and more regulate. I've been analyzing how this works, and it follows a cybernetic pattern, like a thermostat constantly adjusting temperature. Except instead of temperature, it's regulating your behavior. And the scary part? Most people never realize it's happening. The system has 5 phases. Each one sets up the next. By the time you reach the end, the tools you'd normally use to resist have already been quietly disabled. Let me walk you through them. Phase 1, the sensor grid. Before the system tries to change you, it measures you. Not your opinions. Those don't matter yet. It's measuring your vulnerabilities. How do you handle uncertainty? Which emotions override your critical thinking? What do you need most? Safety, status, belonging? This is why your social media feels like it knows you. It does. Every pause, every scroll, every angry comment is data about what makes you tick, and more importantly, what makes you break. The system is thin-slicing you in real time. But here's the really clever part. The sensor phase isn't just collecting data, it's testing. Mild content gets pushed your way, not to persuade you, but to map your boundaries. What language triggers you? What framing slips past unnoticed? It's stress testing your mental defenses. Phase 2, the controller. Once the system knows your vulnerabilities, it selects the right script for your emotional state. Anxious, here's a threat narrative. Lonely, here's a belonging narrative. Skeptical, here's cognitive exhaustion. So many sources, so much complexity. This is why counterarguments often fail. You're attacking the content of the message. But the message was never about content. It was about triggering a specific emotional state that bypasses your analytical mind. You're playing chess while the system is playing neuroscience. Each emotional state narrows your possibility space. Anxiety state, time horizon, immediate. Risk tolerance, 0. Decision mode, shortcuts. Anger state, moral reasoning, binary. Empathy, offline. Action bias, maximum. The controller doesn't create these states, it just traps you inside them. Phase 3, the effector, Part A, destabilization. Now comes the rewiring. First step, destroy your confidence in your own perception. A person who trusts what they see is hard to control. A person who doubts everything they see will grab onto anything that promises certainty. How destabilization works, fire hose of falsehood. So much information, you can't verify it all. Gaslighting. Your internal signals become unreliable. Are you sure that happened? Cognitive dissonance. Chronic mental stress with no resolution. You're not confused by accident. Confusion is the point. A disoriented mind doesn't seek truth. It seeks relief. And conveniently, the system is right there, ready to offer you a simple story that makes the chaos make sense. Notice you weren't convinced. You were rescued. Phase 3, the effector, Part B, isolation. Once your internal compass is broken, external inputs become everything. So, the system controls those too. Not through censorship, that's obvious. Through cost. In a healthy information environment, diverse sources are easy to access. Verification is feasible. Dissent has low social cost. In a controlled environment, approved sources are easy and rewarding. Verification is exhausting. Dissent is betrayal. You can leave, but the activation energy becomes massive. This is why just Google it doesn't work. The person isn't being lazy. They've been conditioned over time that outside information is complicated, hostile, painful, disloyal. It's not a wall, it's a gradient, and you've been walking downhill. Phase 3, the effector, Part C, re-encoding. Now the system installs a new reality, not through argument, through identity replacement. Beliefs are propositions. They can be questioned. Identity is who you are. Questioning it feels like self-destruction. Watch the transformation. I believe X, a claim. I'm someone who understands X, identity linked. People like us know X, group identity. Only bad people question X, moral identity. At that final stage, the belief has become load-bearing. You can't remove it without collapsing. The big lie works because it's too big to process. Normal claim, Evidence, accept, you reject. It's not content anymore. It's infrastructure. Phase 4, the output, action. Here's the trap springing shut. Beliefs fade, actions lock them in. Once you act publicly, especially if it's extreme, three things happen instantly. Cognitive dissonance spikes. You must justify what you did. Identity crystallizes. Your behavior revealed your true self. Social bonds harden. Others witnessed it. Walking it back means losing face. The system doesn't need to convince you anymore. You're now convincing yourself. This is why the system pushes toward offline action. A heated comment, you can delete that. Showing up to a protest, confronting a neighbor, that's real. And once it's real, the sunk cost fallacy kicks in. I wouldn't have done that unless I really believed it. Right. The moral inversion completes. This action was necessary. They deserved it. I'm brave for doing it. This is who we are. You're not defending the action anymore. You're defending yourself through the action. Phase 5, feedback, self-sustaining control. The most elegant part, the system gradually withdraws. Because by now, you're doing the work yourself. External enforcement becomes internal. You police your own thoughts. You imagine what the group would think. You preemptively self-correct. You punish your own doubt. The surveillance is inside you now. The system doesn't need to watch anymore. And here's the final cruelty. Each phase disabled the tool you'd need to resist the next one. Destabilization killed your epistemic confidence. Isolation removed corrective feedback. Re-encoding hijacked your identity. Action created sunk costs. Feedback automated compliance. By the end, escape doesn't feel wrong. It feels impossible. The result, a closed loop of radicalization where the simulation maintains itself. The fake reality becomes more profitable than the truth because it creates addicted, predictable users. So how do we get out? Most people try to fight this system with logic and debate. That fails. You cannot use logic to break a system that relies on emotional hijacking and identity sorting. To break the loop, you don't need better arguments. You need jamming. Using tactics derived from Saul Alinsky, we can disrupt the control architecture rather than just arguing with it. Jamming strategy 1, make the enemy live up to their rules. Narratives rely on vagueness and euphemism. Don't argue the ideology. Force the system to be consistent. If you claim X, why does policy Y exist? This collapses the narrative scaffolding. Jamming strategy 2, ridicule. The system relies on fear and awe, cult of personality. Ridicule is the most potent weapon because it makes the powerful look silly. You cannot fact-check a cult, but you can puncture it with mockery. Jamming strategy 3, focused targeting. The system uses a Gish Gallop, drowning you in 100 weak arguments. Countermove, freeze the target. Pick one contradiction, one lie. Do not let them drift. Keep the pressure on that single point until they break. Jamming strategy 4, polarize deliberately. The system pretends to be a neutral moral order. Force it to show its hand. By polarizing the issue, you reveal who is protected and who is punished. Make the invisible enforcement visible. Jamming strategy 5, small wins. The system uses demoralization and inevitable victory to make you give up. Counter this with small, tangible victories. Incremental success restores your sense of agency and breaks the spell of helplessness. The core shift. The cybernetic loop relies on coherence and flow. Your goal is incoherence. Make the system contradict itself. Make enforcement expensive. Make the narrative unstable. Modern power doesn't demand belief. It manufactures conditions where belief feels safer than doubt. Resistance isn't just about disengaging. It's about seeing the loop, refusing the script, and jamming the machine.